So what's up guys, I'm gonna show you a very powerful little trick to create camera motion and camera animations just like this one in Blender. That's what it looks like. I'm going to show you. It's surprisingly simple and quickly done. So this is what the keyframes look like, just like this, but we're going to recreate everything from scratch. So let me just delete everything right here. Yeah, now we got this. First things first, this is what the setup looks like. I still got exposure keyframed. I'm just going to delete everything, reset. So this is our default scene. It looks just like this. Obviously, this is the material library of 100 of the best automotive materials in the industry for Blender right now. Get it right now. Let's jump right into the video. Let's create a camera first. So just put it somewhere there. Let's hop into the camera. It looks just like this. And we're almost done. Not quite. Maybe one little thing before we keyframe anything. So when you start up Blender, it will look, oh my god, it will look like this. This is how you're going to start up Blender. That's definitely not what we're going to do. So when you start up Blender like this, you're going to duplicate this window so you have the frames and everything on the bottom. We're definitely not going to keyframe anything into the timeline. I never want to see that ever again in my life, that anyone does that. We're also not going to use the graph editor. If you don't really know what you're doing, the graph editor is something you should never touch. So we're going to use the dope sheet editor for basically 95% of every animation you're probably going to do. So this is the Blender setup we're going to work with. Now let's start animating, or almost. We're going to create a empty. How we're going to create that is, so shift right click, we can add a 3D cursor. We're going to put it somewhere, it doesn't really matter. Here, create that empty. F2, we're going to call it look at. And in the camera, we're going to go to the depth of field field, select that look at. We're going to use, you can use whatever you want. You can use 1.4, 1.8, 2.8, but these are common fixed lenses on 50 millimeters, or if you prefer 35, it doesn't really matter for this video. You can tweak around, but don't set these crazy random values with f-stops at 0, or I don't even know. I've seen a lot of crazy stuff. Stay with real, or yeah, keep, add real values, real world values in there, of real camera lenses. So what do we got now? So if we zoom in, we got a lot of depth of field and it focuses onto that empty, but it doesn't look at that empty. So we're going to go to constraints. We're going to go to track 2 and we're going to add the look at. So now it always looks, oh, and how am I moving the camera? I'm on camera to view. So now we got this camera. This is already, yeah, basically close to finished. Not really, but yeah, let's move this a little bit. Sometimes what I like to do is add a second 3D view, so I can, yeah, maybe move the empty over here, move the camera over here. So just so I got a first good shot of the car. So I guess that will work. Another thing I like to do in the camera, I've mentioned before, here. Wait, where are my composition lines? Yeah, you could add thirds. You don't really need that. Wait, am I blind? Ah, there it is. The pass out, so you can really focus on the scene. Now we're going to get into animation. So we will select the camera and the look at. In the camera, we're going to only animate the location. In the look at, we're going to only animate the location. So in both, we're just going to animate the location. We're going to select both. We already got the keyframe here. So one important thing is, we can do it later, but I'll show you now. Make it red. So we're going to have like main keyframes and like in between keyframes. So I'm just going to move on. You're going to understand everything. So now this is our first shot. Now the next shot, let's say we're going to do the headlight. So we're going to shift right click, add the cursor there, only use the look at, shift S, and put the look at right there. You can animate it if you want. So I, and then alt channels, and we can move the camera here. So now we're going to select both. So now it's the real keyframe, I, alt channels. So what have we done? We got a animation just like this. This we're gonna make red as well. We can do everything red at the end, but yeah, just so this is a common practice and you don't forget, because if you don't make it red, it's gonna get very complicated. Okay, next we need another camera angle. So we could do, maybe go to the logo. So we're gonna take the look at, Shift right click, Shift S, cursor to selected, so it's right there. We can maybe zoom in the camera here, maybe like this. We're gonna select both I and all channels. So now it doesn't always work, so you have to kind of also check that the camera motion looks smooth, so you can't use any angle. So some things also, which is nice, you could use the first keyframe and put it here. So now it's going to go to the headlight, to the Audi, and back to the main. And now you could maybe go to the rim. So you take the look at, Shift right click, Shift S, cursor to selected, move in the camera, maybe in this angle, or yeah, maybe this angle. I don't know. Well, whatever. Maybe this. Select both, I, keyframe everything. So now you got this. Also, all of these have to be, you can choose any color, but I like to use red. Now, I don't want to make this animation super long. We could, yeah, maybe even do like or the mirror. That's also what I did in the video. So I'm going to select the look at, go to the mirror, camera, maybe something like this, whatever. Maybe move this over a little bit so it's more in view. Select both, I, keyframe. I guess that's enough, and maybe now we can start over with the main car again. So now it's just gonna flick back. So we're gonna take these frames. It might be longer, it might be shorter. I'm gonna save. So now we got the animation, but it's not quite right. It's pretty wrong, as you can see. Now the magic begins. At 6 minutes recording time. I actually thought it would go a bit quicker, but I think it's still pretty quick. So we're gonna move in a little bit. And important, select both, keyframe all frames. We're gonna move, so just that there's a little bit of motion and 2 keyframes. We're gonna squeeze these in like this, something like this. And now look what it looks like. Okay, this is way too fast, by the way. So we're also gonna take everything S2. Doesn't have to be, like, I don't know if yours is also too fast, but mine is way too fast. So just made it twice as long. And now, what do we have? Whoop, that's it. And now a little bit of motion, keyframe both, have both selected. A little bit of motion, both selected, move it in, move it in. What it does is basically slow down this part, ramp up this part, and slow down this part. So, whoop, whoop. Maybe too fast, then you can move these back. Whoop, whoop. Now the next. Here. Here. So. Whoop, whoop. See, that was a bit slow, so move both of these in. Whoop, whoop. Now you just keep going, so a little bit of motion here. A little, maybe that was almost too much. A little bit of motion here. Whoop. Yeah, I think that works. Whoop. A little bit motion here. A little bit of motion here. Also, one quick thing, so you have motion blur and everything selected automatically on my Gumroad. There's this free add-on that just set up optimal render settings. Get it if you haven't, because just one click and it gives you very good settings, as many of you know already. And also I got the free add-on for the render time. I think it was free, or did they take money for it? I forgot. Maybe it's free, maybe it's not. You'll find out. Okay, let's finish up this animation. So a little bit of motion, move it up. Move it in, move it in. That was maybe too fast. Sometimes you have to move it over. Also, I just noticed this is I didn't make it red. So it's important that it's red. So you really see that the in-between. So if you get client feedback or whatever, you can just delete this and pretty quickly recreate a new angle. So that's it. The windows go up and down. Yeah, don't do that. So whoop, whoop, whoop. Whoop, maybe too slow, whoop, whoop, and the whole video is looped. So there you have it, a very, very simple, a very, very powerful trick to animate a lot of things that just look cool. So cars, products, whatever. So this works pretty well in my opinion. I use this technique very often. That's it for today. Yeah, get the material library, as many of you already have done. It's on on Gumroad and Blender Market. It will support me a lot. And that's it for today. Have a great day, have a great week, and goodbye.